When making a big life decision like purchasing a home in a new town, everybody wants confidence that they're making a good choice that won't hurt them later. To have that confidence, you need information about the unknowns, surprises, and quirks specific to the Moscow, Idaho real estate market. In this video, I'm gonna break it all down. These are the 4 most important things to know about Moscow, Idaho real estate before you move. I'm not only going to bring you up to speed on the most important information you need to know, I'm going to share with you one of the most effective steps of the process that my team has used to help over 750 Moscow buyers find homes that are perfect for them. This step will become your secret weapon for finding a home that's just the right fit in Moscow. By the way, I'm Chris Carpenter. My team and I have served over 1,500 clients here, more than 300 served by me directly. This stuff is all I do professionally all day long for the last 10 years. Let's get into it. This first one might seem obvious on the surface, but the way it changes how you go about finding the right home is not, especially if you're coming from a big city. Your first must know is that the Moscow real estate market is small. The other day, one of my team members was having a conversation with an out-of-town client over the phone, and the client was asking about inventory. When my team member said, "Oh yeah, there are 60 homes on the market right now." "Oh wow, like in that neighborhood he was looking?" No, that's the entire Moscow market. The guy was shocked. At any given time, we might have a maximum of 70 homes on the market total. Getting the home you want just got a lot harder. 2 primary ways this affects you. First, the variety of homes available for you to choose from is probably more limited than you're used to. Finding an exact match isn't guaranteed, so it requires either patience or some compromise if your heart is set on a particular neighborhood or style of home. Second, in big markets, if you miss out on a home, no big deal. You've got hundreds of nearly identical homes to choose from, but not here. When the home you want does pop up, there is more pressure to make a decision because depending on what you're looking for, you may only have a handful of chances every year. Sadly, we've had clients who didn't understand this from the beginning, passed up on something that was a great fit for them early, and then spent years thinking back on that first property because they were unable to find anything else that they liked quite as much. At this point, if you're feeling discouraged about how limited your options seem in the Moscow market, I hear that all the time. And there's a story I want to share with you toward the end of this video. So now you know that Moscow is a small market, but what style, type, and size of home will you find at different price points? That's the next must know, and it's a big one. As a buyer, if you don't have this information ahead of time, it can be discouraging to start looking at homes only to find that the market doesn't have what you want within the price bracket you're looking in. I don't just mean that for affordable homes, I mean that for the luxury market as well. You'll see what I mean in just a sec. Let's go low to high. To start within the $0 to $100,000 range, you're only going to find mobile and manufactured homes, 2 to 3 beds, 1 bath, and square footage anywhere from 500 to 1,000 square feet. Not a ton to say here. From 1 to 200,000, you start getting into some solid, clean, 3-bed, 2-bath, manufactured homes with around 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. We also have a small housing project designed by U of I students as affordable homes. The ones in this price range are really small, 640 square feet, 2-bed, 1-bath micro homes, but they're brand new construction. The biggest change you'll see when we bump up to the 200 to 300,000 bracket is that you'll typically find a lot of condos in this range. Again, 2 to 3 beds, typically 1 to 2 baths, 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. Occasionally, you'll see a single family home pop up in this price range, but unless it's tiny, the first question people ask is what's wrong with it. You've also got some brand new 1-bed, 1-bath condos that will pop up from time to time. In the $300,000 to $400,000 range, we finally start to see predominantly single family homes with an occasional multifamily. It's most common to see 2 to 4 bed, 2 to 3 bath homes with 1,000 to 1,600 square feet. And you'll also start to see either yards or early 2000s construction. 400 to 500,000. At this price point, your options really start to open up. This is where you can start getting new construction more consistently, or older homes that have had some renovation. Not a huge change in beds or baths, but square footage is consistently in the 16 to 2200 range. This is also where a lot of duplexes tend to sit price-wise if you're interested in house hacking. And you'll notice most homes in this price point have yards even if they're not massive. 500 to 600,000 is where the lots start to make a bigger difference in price. You see that again, beds and baths didn't really change for the most part. You'll start to get 2,000 to 2,500 square feet more often here. The price point increase is happening for different reasons. So that could be larger or more desirable lots, location, finishes, or year built. 600 to 700,000 sees quite a bit of change. Lots are quite a bit bigger in this range. Finishes tend to be high-end, and almost all of the construction is either exquisitely maintained, well renovated, or brand new. Almost no homes under 2,000 square feet come on in this range. In general, there's a marked difference in the way these homes look, too. The architecture is more complicated, and you see a lot more has been done for the sake of aesthetics. 700 to 800,000. The biggest change in this bracket is that square footage is now in the high 2,000s to mid 3,000s range. A lot of these homes also have great views and are in some of Moscow's most popular neighborhoods. Many of the well-tended Fort Russell homes will come on in this price range. If you don't know, Fort Russell is Moscow's historic district. People either want to know where Moscow's older homes are so they can avoid them, or so they can buy one. And that's what you'll find in Fort Russell. But old homes don't necessarily mean poorly maintained. If you're looking for a historic home with none of the historic problems, chances are you'll find them in between 600,000 and 800,000. 800,000 plus is where inventory really starts to drop off. Every home you look at in this price range is going to be pretty much one of a kind in that you won't be able to find another. And for that reason, especially once you go anywhere above $1 million, if you have something specific in mind, you're probably going to need someone to build you a custom home because Moscow isn't dropping $1 million homes left and right. I hope hearing about those different price points has been helpful and thinking about how much house you can buy compared to the market you're currently in. If you're coming from a big city like Seattle, Portland, LA, or even Denver, your market is way more expensive than Moscow. You're probably going to have a serious competitive advantage in Moscow. Getting down to what type of market Moscow is currently in is wrapped up in how fast things are moving. So the speed of the Moscow market is the next must know. When I say speed of the market, what I mean is months of inventory and the average days on market. Translated, months of inventory means if homes were to continue selling as fast as they are right now, and we didn't add any more listings to the market, how many months would it take for all the homes listed in Moscow to sell? Learning the months of inventory helps you understand how much supply versus demand there is in the market. Therefore, how much competition you might be facing. More months of inventory means the market is leaning towards buyers, and fewer months of inventory means the market is leaning towards sellers. 4 to 5 months of inventory indicates a balanced market. At the moment, months of inventory is about 3.3. If no more homes came on the market, it would only take about 3 months before all the homes were sold out. That means we don't have enough supply to feed the demand, putting us in a seller-leaning market. That doesn't mean that sellers are getting everything they want, but what it does mean is that if a home is priced competitively, having multiple buyers submit offers is totally common. So the takeaway here is that you'll probably run into some competition. Average days on market just means, on average, how long are homes staying on the market before they sell. Generally, days on market tells you how quickly you'll have to react when a home that you want pops up and how active you'll have to be when you're on the hunt for your home. I remember back in 2020 to 2022, homes were consistently going under contract in less than a week, sometimes in less than 24 hours. But that's not really the case now. The average days on market is 42, which is good news because back in 2020, if you even wanted a shot at purchasing a home, you had to live at your computer just to keep up. Checking in once a day is probably fine right now, especially if you have a local real estate expert to keep their eye on the market for you. If they're good, they'll proactively send you properties that fit your needs often before you see them. Up until now, we've talked about different market info that you need to know. Now you need to know about the quirks of Moscow that you probably aren't aware of. So the fourth must know about Moscow is the small town real estate oddities. This is a 4-in-1. Property taxes, home insurance, HOAs, and one other that can really make people nervous when they find out about it. Starting with taxes, the median national property tax is 1.02%. Idaho's median property tax is only about half of that, at 0.5%. Moscow lands at about 0.7%. On a $400,000 home, you're paying about $2,800 in taxes. That's an important number to know when you're budgeting for a home. Even though taxes don't make anyone smile, home insurance in Moscow will. One of the best things about Moscow is that even though we have some months where the cloud cover just hangs around forever, we don't really have extreme weather with golf ball-sized hail or natural disasters. The worst we have around here is an occasional blizzard and once every few years, flooding around the creeks that run through Moscow. In a place like Dallas, Texas, for example, you might pay more than $5,000 per year for home insurance, while in Moscow, the average is around $1,300 per year. That's not bad. HOAs are probably something you're super familiar with if you're coming from a big city. When you come to a small town like Moscow and there are almost no HOAs, that can come as a surprise, especially if you're used to HOAs handling your landscaping or exterior maintenance. In Moscow, there are a handful of HOAs scattered around town, and very few of them handle your yard work. When you move, come prepared to hire out your yard maintenance or do it yourself. This last one can really make people nervous when they find out about it and aren't familiar with it. On the outskirts of town, 5 to 10 minutes out where you start getting super popular 1 to 10 acre properties, you will almost always run into wells and septic systems. And when some people hear about that, it concerns them because they're unfamiliar. And to be fair, there are plenty of not great stories out there. If you want acreage in our area, don't be surprised to be on well and septic. We can get you connected with someone to make sure everything is safe and operating well. Let me tell you a story. One of my team members had some clients, we'll say Dean and Carol, and they were absolutely discouraged, about to throw in the towel. They were looking for a 5-bed, 3-bath home, but nothing was coming up on the market in their price range. So they came to one of the agents on my team and said, hey, we're just not finding what we want. So my agent asked some questions. It turns out they wanted one of the bedrooms for a mother-in-law suite. So my team member asked, well, is it okay if that bedroom is detached? They said, well, yeah. So he asked, how long until your mother-in-law is going to move in with you? They said probably 10 years. And he said, did you know when you buy a home in Latah County, you get an immediate free building permit for a 900 square foot accessory dwelling unit? They had no idea. Why don't we find a home with 4 bedrooms, then over the next 10 years, plan to build that ADU for your mother-in-law? Well, yeah, that sounds great, they said. They are now happily in a home and planning to build that mother-in-law suite. If the Moscow market is the lock, what I'm about to share with you is the key to opening up more creative possibilities to finding a home here that really fits your needs. This story is a perfect example of dating the what and marrying the why, which comes from one simple process that we've used with over 750 buyers to help them clarify what a property really needs to be in order to give them long-term satisfaction. In a smaller market, this process is key to helping you see how properties that you might have otherwise overlooked can actually be the answer to serving your needs perfectly if you have the right local knowledge. I'm going to walk you through step by step. Sit down with your spouse, a pen, and a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle of your page. Write what on the left side and why on the right side. Start listing all the features you want on the what side and the reason you want them on the why side. Try to make your reasons as specific and clear as possible. Nothing like, I want a porch because it's fun. You want to describe real world uses. I want a porch so that I can step out and see the sunrise every morning with a cup of coffee in my hand. I want a backyard because I like hosting 20 to 30 person parties. As you go, you'll start seeing clear priorities appear. Once you have everything written down, Number the top 3 to 5 most important things on your why list. Those whys are your new deciding factors. Doing this unlocks a whole different way of looking at homes. Let's make this practical. Say dad wants a detached shop. Well, you're gonna have a hard time finding that in the city of Moscow. If you focus on the what, the shop, you're going to overlook all the other options that could have worked. But when you focus on serving the why behind the shop, your options start to open up way more. Let's say the why is that dad likes to do a lot of DIY carpentry projects. Well, what are all the ways that this why could be served? Could a deep 2-car garage work? Probably. So the point of this exercise is to look at homes through different lenses. By pulling the thing that really matters to you out from behind each feature you're looking for, you can find more ways to serve your why, and ultimately, that opens up a lot more options for you on the market, which is a huge advantage in small towns like Moscow. Here's the other way this gets real results. When you have a crystal clear picture of what really matters to you, you'll save a ton of time. We've had clients cut down on the number of homes they viewed before finding the right one by 10, 20, 30 showings, because there's no need to negotiate with yourself on little things that don't actually matter. You already know what matters to you. Now, you can take that and run, or if you want to both supercharge this approach and have more homes right in Moscow to choose from before the public even knows about them, let's go a layer deeper. Right now, you can just browse through homes on the internet with your newly created what's and why's list in hand. But when you bring a local who's boots on the ground, commanding deep knowledge of regulations and real estate, and put them to work for you to find something that serves your why, you get a whole other level of safety and more homes to choose from, and here's how. On safety, imagine you're interested in a specific home, but you can't go and walk through it, smell, touch, and see the things that don't come across in the photos. Having someone local who can physically walk through the home with you on a video call and be your eyes, ears, nose, and hands is critical. And if they have that deep local knowledge, they'll know what common Moscow-specific problems to look for. And to give you more homes to choose from, a good local real estate expert can help you in 2 ways. If you're ready to buy, they should be actively looking for properties that serve your why. Since we're in the market all day, every day, often that proactivity surfaces homes that you didn't know about. Just because an agent is local doesn't mean they're proactive. So a pro safety tip for you is to interview your agent and ask about their process for finding properties for you. And this next way of finding more options for you is really the next level of proactivity. A good local real estate expert should be looking for off-market fits for you. For example, my team is always talking to homeowners and asking what their future plans are. The result is that we have a list of close to 30 off-market homes. So when one of my team members hears about a new off-market property or a home pops up on the list that matches your needs and you're qualified to buy, you can have a shot at the property before it ever comes to market. If we can help you find what you want in Moscow or the surrounding areas, let us know and we'll get connected and go to work for you. If this video was helpful to you, either of these ones will probably interest you too.